music, can you? Hello and welcome to a very special episode of El Pozo, the podcast dedicated to the third tier of Spanish football. Those of you who've been following this league for more than this season will remember that I think a year ago to the day, actually, somewhat out of the blue, so you kept that one very quiet, Alejandro, the announcement was made that Best Intentions Analytics were buying Ade Merida, a club obviously at our level of Spanish football, delighted to be joined this afternoon by Alejandro Pe Robles, who is the General Director at Ade Merida and therefore oversaw that process. In fact, was with the club before that process even began, and is clearly, like ourselves, celebrating the first anniversary of that particular arrangement at the club. Alejandro, thank you so much for giving us some of your time to talk through some of what you've been doing with the club since you joined it back in July 2023. Can I start you with just a bit of background on yourself and just a follow-up question? You've got a degree in aeronautical engineering, I believe. You've got a master's in business administration. You've got a lot of experience in the wider business world. What persuaded you to change direction and focus your attention specifically on sports management?
Well, before starting, Liam, it's a pleasure to be here with you. I'm really delighted, not only me, but also Cliff Crown and everyone that we are working in the club to follow your account. We are really fans of your account, and we're really happy that also the people outside Spain can follow the third division in Spain. So for us, it's a pleasure to be here. And just to be recorded, you are more than invited to come to the Romano whenever you want. So it's really happy to be with you in a special day as this one here with you in El Pozo. Well, regarding your question, it's true that my background could be a mix of very different things. When I finished my career in aerospace engineering, I started to study an MBA in Madrid, and then I started to manage some companies. The truth is that I didn't found in the past a real reason to spend many hours at work, and I'm really a hard worker. So I started to see other options. Even I studied another master for airports design. I was during COVID designing airports, which was a really tough phase in my career. Then I returned to supply chain just to handle some companies in Madrid. And well, since I was a child, I love football. So I started to study an MBA in sports entities administration in Madrid. And before I ended the master, I had the luck to meet the former chairman of the club, which he was looking for a big change in the culture of the club. And that change is mainly based on data-driven, trying to be at the top level in all the professional sides of a football club. But he needs an engineer mind just to be focused on data and try to implement that in scouting, in fitness, and other areas that can be improved through data. And that was the main reason that I felt attracted to be in this world, which it's amazing. For sure it's an adventure that I had taken. Sorry for my English, and trying to improve it as much as possible. But
that's pretty good to us.
That's the reason why I was here. I feel really attracted by football. I fell in love with this club, with this town. At the end, there is a really good atmosphere, and also it was an opportunity to change the culture of the club, and that's for me was a great opportunity, great experience, and trying to enjoy it as much as possible.
It's really interesting you should say that, because obviously when you came to the club, they were in Segunda Federación, weren't they? So they were at a level of football which is essentially semi-professional to the outside world. In fact, Primera Federación in theory is as well, isn't it? But how challenging did you therefore find that? Because I think you probably saw lots of things straight away that you'd like to improve, but was it difficult? Was there any pushback in terms of, obviously not from the previous owner, but just in general, were there people saying, well, listen, we're only at the fourth tier of Spanish football, why are you trying to get us to do all these things that are very professional, when actually the whole point of playing at this level is that we're semi-professional?
Right. Well, I found a lot of pushbacks when I came here. It's true that I came in at the end of the season, where it was the first season of the team in Primera Federación, not in Segunda Federación. So they went through that process. The previous ownership, they promoted in the first year to Primera Federación. And well, apart from the economical side, which at the end is my expertise, and I found there a lot of difficulties. The first year was a really tough year where we work a lot just to be in good shape, in healthy shape. So we need to fix many problems that we had by that time. Well, the real challenge was at the end to change the culture, because at the end, little clubs, you don't have many resources, and you are trying to implement a system where you start to sign players using data. And well, the difficulties here is not applying different processes that we learned by that time. The real difficulty is to change the mind of the people. At the end, the first sentence or the first phrase you are hearing is, you're not going to invent anything new in football using data, because at the end, I think that in Spain, our football culture, which is really good because we have been really successful in the last years, but at the end, is not in the top culture of English football or even Italian football. Now Portuguese also using data to control everything. There is something that Cliff Crown repeats continuously, which is, if it's not measurable, it's not improvable. So for us, by that point, the challenge was to change the mind of the people in the club, saying we are going to follow data in order to improve things. It doesn't matter what do you believe. We are looking for coaches that believe in that, sporting directors that believe in that, off-field people that believe in that. So it was really hard. The first year was super tough, and until the moment that we started to see with our own eyes that that was working, nobody believed in that. So well, that was the big change, I think.
Fascinating. And I presume that because that kind of approach was already there with you at the helm, made you a particularly attractive proposition to Best Intentions Analytics, obviously, in the sense that you were already working in that field. And so you and you've done a lot of the hard work in winning people over. So when it came to a time that they were quite interested in acquiring the club, I mean, how did that process actually start then? I mean, how did you first find out? Was it through the former owner, or was it a bit out of the blue?
Yeah, it was through the former owner, Mark Heffernan. He is a big friend of Matthew Benham. In fact, before acquiring Merida, we went to Brentford, and he was educated in financial markets, so he follows a lot everything regarding data, and he felt really excited and passionate about the methodology that Matthew was implementing in Brentford. So with his own resources, which for sure are lower than the ones that we are currently using, he tried to reply the best he could. So, well, when he decided to sell the club, he started to find a good ownership to leave the club with them. And well, we're lucky to find Cliff, Nicky, Matthew, everyone that they came into the club. Well, one of the reasons why they bought the club and they are involved in the project is because of the similarities we have with Brentford 10 years ago. More or less, we have the same population, same stadium, more or less, with the same issues that we are dealing with in the daily basis. But for sure, we have had an experience of 1 year dealing with this culture change, which at the end takes a lot of time to find the right people, to get the people into a point of believing in the project. So I think that was interesting in all this process.
And when do you first speak to them, and how did the process actually work? How does buying a football club actually work, to be honest, in Spain? Because I mean, quite clearly, the ground is owned by the council, isn't it? So you're buying the assets of the club, but I presume there's an awful lot of bureaucracy to work your way through before you get to the stage of announcing new owners. Is that correct?
Well, not that way. More the thing is that we started to talk with them around November 2024. That was the day, more or less. Well, we received a visit from Lee Dykes, which is the technical director of Brentford, and then another visit coming from Cliff Crown and Niti Rai, just to understand which was the situation of the club, also to see the infrastructures and the potential that we have to grow in the future. And from that point, Liam just started due diligence process where you need to deliver all the bureaucracy regarding the club. Long process. I'm talking about a process of 5 months, more or less. I took care of all the process. One of the key points was the financial terms, not for the deal, but the financial terms regarding the health of the club, which in these categories, you know that there are many clubs struggling. So we are lucky to say that we have no debt and everything was clear. We even gone through Premier League processes, economical processes. So that was really tough for a Primera Federación club. And we passed them successfully, I think. So well, at the end, we have several meetings, not only in person, but also online with the lawyers, delivering documentation. And well, by the end of March was everything done, almost. And then in April, we signed the deal. Regarding the stadium, yes, it's owned by the council. As you may know, we have extended the lease until 2040. So well, we have an excellent relationship also with the government here, not only the local but also the regional. Well, that's part of the reality of the clubs in this category. So yeah, that's not an asset in your balance sheet, but well, you have many things that you can improve. In fact, most of the times, not owning the stadium as an asset is even more attractive rather than not having it, because at the end, it also affects in the final price of the deal.
Right, so yeah, cheaper without having to buy the stadium as well, basically. I have to say, you managed to keep it very quiet. I mean, I think the first time I knew about it was about 2 or 3 days before it was actually going to happen. So that was quite impressive. What are you noticing most of all? I mean, there's a huge amount as you can cover in this particular answer to the next question. But what have you noticed have been the biggest changes in terms of having new ownership the last year, the first year of ownership of Best Intentions Analytics?
Well, I think that the biggest change it's also related with people and with culture. It's amazing how a Premier League club or an ownership as Best Intention Analytics, that maybe you may know that at the end they are in another level. They are super humble. That was the first thing that we learned from the first day. Big values of all the people that are there. Cliff Crown, which is the chairman, is interested in all the different areas of the club. Matthew as well, he's really on the daily basis of the club, on the different developments we are making. So for me, the big impact they have made is people. We have increased the people that we have in our club from 50 to 100 people in only 1 year, which is a big change. And also reinforcing that culture of club. Everyone has something to say in the club. From it doesn't matter the statements we are making now. Each quarter we are making meetings with the management and also with all the people. So we are trying to improve all the processes and everyone feels important in the project. Well, we have enhanced as well everything regarding data. Brentford is incredible. It's incredible. And also you can feel the support of them because they have come from the 4th division in England until Premier League. In fact, we are 7th. I will say now we, because it's we at the end. We are 7th in the Premier League. And they told you all the different years, the difficulties they have found to promote. Championship was super tough. The first year they got into Premier League, they told me that, well, that's amazing. You need to try to get to maintain the category as much as possible. And do not, I don't know if I'm going to say this correctly in English, but do not sleep into your own laurels. That's okay. That's expression.
Do not rest on your laurels. Yeah, do not rest on your laurels. Yeah, very, very
That's
similar.
like,
yeah.
that's like the main thing that we have in mind coming from Matthew, and we need to keep improving every year. And I'm not talking about the sportive result, Liam. I'm talking about the development of the club, and we think that the sportive success come as an output of the development of the club in the daily basis. Right.
Yeah, it's really interesting you mentioned that, because I think most fans' first thoughts when they get new owners, especially new owners who've been very successful in getting their team from a low level up to a high level, the first expectation is lots of money being spent on lots of expensive players, isn't it? I think that's the first thing that most fans think, right, new owner, we're going to get loads of stars down here now. How difficult has it been for you to manage those expectations of the fans? Because we know that at this level of football, you can actually spend whatever you like. There is no limite salarial, so you could spend whatever you want. But clearly, that's not the Brentford model, and it's not going to work. But then, how familiar are your fans with the fact that that's not how Brentford works? So there's no way when they come into your club that they're going to suddenly splash the cash. It's just not going to happen, and that must be quite a difficult sell, mustn't it, to the fans?
It is, but we have been working in that message during many years, to be honest. Even before Best Intentionally, this is our honor. We have sent this message to our fans. First thing is that Merida has been a first division club in 1998. But to be honest, that was a big mistake, because at the end you were not financially caring about the club, which is something that you need to understand. And we are not going to make any crazy things investing in players, because in this category you can see many clubs that they are investing a lot of money, and that's not directly related to promote. For sure it can help, but it's not the key of the success, to be honest, in order to promote to second division. Also, people understand here that we have 4,000 season ticket holders, which is great. When I arrived to the club, we were 3,000, and now we are 1,000 more in a city with a population of 60K people. So at the end, you can understand that we are not getting economical power from the season ticket holders. This is very different if you compare to other teams as Murcia or Recreativo de Huelva, that they are in Segunda Ref, where you have 14,000 season ticket holders that can allow you to grow in that sense. And well, the message has been calculated in the last years, and we are trying to reproduce that message year after year, also not only for fans but also for the market, for the players, because at the end we are seeing that we have a lot of inflation in our category, because it's, in my opinion, or at least is my feeling, we are closer and closer to second division in terms
Totally
of salaries,
agree.
and
Yeah, totally agree.
in terms of level of the players. But at the same time, you don't have any salary cap as you have in second division. So at the end, this is crazy. We know players that are coming from second division to this division because they can earn more money than in second division, because their clubs are not, they do not have that cap, that salary cap. No, so people has to understand that we are not going to make crazy things, because we are not going to put in risk our club. It's better to invest in infrastructure, which is going to be part of the assets of the equity of the club for the next years, and it's going to allow us to improve players, rather than investing in players and having high salaries, which, by the way, I repeat, it doesn't guarantee you the promotion to second division.
Yeah, I think we can think of a couple of examples of that right now, can't we? To be honest, Alejandro, in Primera Ref. Talking of the finances, though, you've had a bit of a kind of a turntable. I don't know, one in, one out for the last few months in terms of your striker. You had obviously Javi Slaughter up front and did brilliantly last year. Brought him in from Europa, and he had a fantastic season for you, didn't he? And he left in the summer. Then you bring in Alvaro from Logroñés, and he does tremendously well. And then he leaves as well, and you go and sign Sigurd Halsen. Is it a little bit frustrating? I mean, I've looked at this a lot, really, and looking at the cláusula de rescisión, is it a little bit frustrating that you gamble on these players and they do really well for you, and then you lose them for relatively little money? Is that annoying?
It is, to be honest, it is. We are now improving in that contract parts, as you were talking. Here, the law, Liam, you cannot put the buyout clause amount that you want. At the end, that's related with the salary of the player, the age of the player, and the position of the player. I'm talking about the most critical case, which is if I go to trial the club goes to trial, because I'm not going to try. I'm going on behalf of the club with a player. And you are talking about the buyout clause, that's related. The final amount is going to be related with which these variables I told you: salary, position of the players, age of the players. So at the end, you have some limits, and you have to play with that. And also, big part of the game is that the player has to accept that buyout clause, because at the end, there are a lot of players. For example, the case of Alvaro, he was a guy that, even coming from Segunda Ref, he was really clear that he was going to be in second division. That was the first message he told us. So he wouldn't accept a super high buyout clause. That's something that you need to deal with that. So, well, this year we have implemented, with the help of Best Intention Analytics, new structures in the contract that will allow us to be more protected in this winter market, in these markets windows. Having said that, at the end, well, the attractiveness of a second division club going to pay the buyout clause is attractive for players, and this is part of the industry. So yeah, could be annoying, but at the end we understand it as part of the business. It's something that we need to be prepared in case someone is paying the buyout clause of a player, to be ready to sign another player and try to have the same level as we had with the previous one. So, well, that's part of the industry, but not only for this category, also for bigger leagues. Talking about Premier League, well, and I will put again Brent, for example. Last year we were seeing how Mbeumo was going to United, which, well, at the beginning you said, well, how are we going to replace this? And well, you've got Igor Thiago. And that's all. And you need to be prepared for the next step. And also, the strategy of the whole group is not finding the best player in your league. That's super easy. You and me, we can be sportive directors. The main challenge is to find a player that is going to be at that level, which is coming from the division below. That's the key point, and that's why we are using data to sign those players. So, well, it is what it is. We need to deal with that.
And I suppose the one advantage of the new owners is that you can afford to then go out and spend at least a chunk of the money that you got for Alvaro on Sigurd House, and presumably this was exactly what you were alluding to just then. You're looking at the data, you're looking at somebody who's, a little bit of a left field signing, doing really well in the Icelandic league, but I'm fairly sure no one expected you to sign him. And that, again, is the benefit of using that data-driven approach.
Yeah, absolutely. To be honest, the strategy was what we are going to do with the money of Alvaro and how are we going to invest it. The strategy was, let's be prepared since the first moment. So if this happens, we can replace Alvaro in the best way we can. That was the main strategy. And Thiago Leño, our sporting director, he was prepared since the first day. There were many rumors. That's another thing that happens in this category. Well, I think that in all categories, but there was not any official offer for Alvaro until the last 2 weeks of the market. So well, we had time to prepare ourselves in that sense, to try to find the best replacements as possible. And I think that Sigi is doing a good job. Also, Elftui is doing. Sufyan, coming from Ibiza, he's doing a good job as well. So, well, that's, as I told you, it's part of the industry, so we need to be ready for that.
I think perhaps to an English market, I mean, many of the people who listen to this show are from the UK or alternatively from the USA. Just the title of General Director is very interesting to them. I mean, obviously, you seem incredibly involved in everything. Is that about how it is? Is your day-to-day essentially just 24/7, like everything that comes your way, whether it be media, whether it be sporting director, is it just full on in every direction, or are there any areas in which you're particularly heavily involved?
Yeah, it is. It is until, well, once Best Intention Analytics arrived, one of the first things we made was to find the same figure in the sportive side, because I'm more focused in the business one. The general director is more like the CEO, to be honest. And now we have like Brentford has a sportive director and also a CEO. I'm more in charge of the business and institutional side, and the sportive director at the end is in charge of everything that happens in the sportive side. But at the end, in the daily basis, we are really connected, because every movement that Thiago is making, it impacts into the financials. Also in drafting contracts, I'm the one I'm in charge of drafting the contracts. And apart from that, you need to take care about the finances of the club in terms of revenues and costs, and preparing your infrastructure and stadium match day. So yeah, every day is different. Sometimes it's a little bit exhausting, because you are spending a lot of time into the club, and also you have family, and you need to maintain a balance between those two worlds. But yeah, to be a CEO, general manager, is you need to be able to cope with everything that can happen into the club. But I'm feeling really thankful and lucky. First, to have Thiago as sporting director. He was previously CEO, so at the end he understands you. The other way around is that the sporting director is squeezing you as much as possible to get your money to sign players. This is not the case. Thiago understands perfectly the effort that we all need to make in order to be financially healthy to find good players. And also we have the support, as I told you, coming from Cliff, coming from Matthew, from Lee, from Phil Giles as well. So they guide you in those moments where you need also the support coming from upside, which is really important in the tough moments.
So as you say, a huge amount of what you do is the more the general administration rather than the specific sporting details. But you are a football fan, so you will have obviously watched this team now in Grupo Dos last season and Grupo Uno this season. Do you notice any particular differences? There's a lot of talk, isn't there, about one group being easier than the other, and have you noticed any specific challenges or changes between the two groups or not?
That's a good question, and I really like it when you send me some of the questions that we were also going to talk today about. And in fact, this year we had the opportunity to vote in what group are you going to play during the year.
I did not know.
Not only our club, but all the clubs. We were able to vote. We were in a votation with the Spanish Fed for that. And yeah, the same question came like 7 months ago. So just to choose, because we were in the middle. In fact, we were able to choose a little bit in which group we can be. And for me, the other group, to the southeast group, to say so, I think that there are really, really good teams there in terms of quality. That was the difficulty of that club, with huge budgets for the year. I'm talking Ibiza, Nastic Tarragona, Murcia, Cartagena. Also, you have strong subsidiary teams as Betis and Seville. And well, the difficulty in the other group, which is the one that we are facing during all the season, for sure there are clubs that have really good players, but for me the big difficulty in this club are the pitches. The quality of the pitches are not the same quality as you will find in the other group, and also the temperatures in winter are colder, which is a big impact into the players. So well, for me they are balanced. In the other way around, if you go to the other group, I think that you're going to face teams that, budget-wise talking, they are going to have better squads, but at the end, the conditions, the pitches are going to be better. Even in these teams, in this group, everything is more tight because of that. What I'm telling you, you need to go up. For example, this week we are playing Arenteiro pitch, which is a super little pitch. You don't know which are the conditions that you're going to find the grass, so that also affects on what's happening during the game. So for me, both groups are balanced. Just for you to know, for next season, when the Spanish Fed is designing the groups, the key part here is that in both groups you need to have the same teams that are relegated for second division. You need to have the same number of teams, of subsidiary teams, in each group. And more or less, you need to maintain the kilometers you're going to make to every city. But the first rule they follow is this one I'm telling you. For example, you can think about the groups in next season by trying to think who is going to relegate to our current division and which are going to be the subsidiary teams that you are going to face, and you need to split that into two parts of Spain and then try to make the rest of the clubs.
It's really interesting you say that, because my guess would be that Tarazona don't particularly want to be in Grupo Dos, so it doesn't always work out as you want it to, does it? You just have to hope, I suppose. You put forward your case and you hope they listen to you. In terms of Grupo Uno, then, it's still a realistic ambition to be in the top 5 at the end of the season. Certainly, obviously, you achieved that last season in Grupo Dos. You've said how tight it is. It looks to me like it's still a perfectly reasonable objective. Would you agree with that?
Well, I think it's going to be difficult, but I think that is perfectly possible. So we need to go for that. At the end, we are now 3 points ahead of the playoffs. You are seeing that all the different fixtures, the teams, they are losing and winning points. There is not a big difference. There is not a gap yet between the playoffs teams and the rest of the teams. So, well, I think that should be our goal at the end, to fight as much as possible for being there in the playoffs, for sure.
And in terms of year number 2, I mean, I've heard your interview recently with a local newspaper, so I kind of know the answer to this next question. But what are the real objectives in terms of off-field developments? We've heard an awful lot about what's been done already towards the training facilities, which looks incredibly impressive. What are the other projects that you have in mind in terms of developing the infrastructure of the club in conjunction with the local government, of course, and also with Best Intentions Analytics?
Well, first of all, Liam, we do not have to lose the focus on the training grounds. I think that we need to end that project, which is a big one. It's expected to be finished by the end of the year, 2026. So that for me should be the first step, that we need to be everyone focused on that. Now, probably next week, we are starting with the creation of a new grass natural pitch, which is going to have the same size of the Romano. So I think that our effort should be there at least until the end of the year. And well, because of not sleeping into our laurels, as you were saying, we are now working on understanding which are the improvements we need to make to the stadium. We talked with La Liga just to have an audit report coming from them, understanding which will be the requirements for the future. I'm not talking about next season, and that's not our goal. If it happens, everyone will be happy, but well, we'll see. And now that we have that report in our hands, start to work on the different requirements. For sure, we're going to be focused first in the critical requirements regarding safety, regarding infrastructure, and regarding pitch development. And well, in the moment that we are promoting, there are another investments that you need to make for broadcasting reasons, lighting, sound, well, and other things that are required in another league. But the first step regarding infrastructure and the off-field side should be understanding what do we need into the stadium, which are the financial resources that are available, and try to comply with the most critical ones ASAP, because they are related with safety, and that's something that we need to comply with, whatever category we are. So that will be for me the project in the off-field side regarding infrastructure. And well, apart from that, in the off-field side, just to try to grow the revenue that we are getting. That's very important in this category, and we are developing the business team to say so as much as possible, trying to get sponsorships coming from outside our region, outside Extremadura, and to improve our communications as well. That's really important.
I think your media team do a pretty good job on the communication side of things. We've always been very impressed with their output, but I'm sure you think you could do even better.
I think so. Well, I think that we are doing a good job, and I think that the space for improvement we have there is knowing how to measure what we are doing. We are doing many good things, but we do not measure those things. So if you do not measure those things, you are not able to sell those things in the best way possible. And so, yeah, it's very related with what I was talking before about. If you are not able to measure it, you are not able to improve it. So now we know we have the right people, They are working really hard and really well, but we are not measuring our impact. Just to put in you an example, talking about sponsors, most of the sponsors, they want to be, for example, in the goals or in the lineup. And to be honest, our best posts in social media are new players. So now you are not able to show a sponsor that the best post to be bought into a sponsorship package is the post for new players when you are signing players, rather than being in all the goals of the season. So that's the key point we are developing now, to say, hey guys, we are measuring everything. This is everything we can show you and we can offer you. Please go with this, because your brand is going to be much more valuated if you are in this place rather than in this place. But well, long way to go yet, just trying to improve all those areas of the club.
Yeah, it's fascinating. As somebody who works for a semi-professional team here in the UK, I can relate to all of that really clearly. It really has been such a pleasure to talk to Alejandro. Thank you so much for giving me so much of your time. We would absolutely love to come down to Merida. As you will be aware, from the northwest of England, it's not the easiest place to get to. I think Cliff has it a little bit easier from London than we do from the Manchester area, but it's a massive ambition of ours to come and join you. And I personally would love to spend a day as a fly on your wall, to be honest, because it sounds a fascinating role that you have, and one that you're constantly developing and moving forward. So thank you so much. It really is massively appreciated on the anniversary of your new owners that you found the time to talk to us.
Oh, thank you for your time as well. For me, as I told you, it's an honor to be here with you. And please come to Merida. You are more than invited. Just write me, text me, whatever you want, but we are here waiting for you. If you can spend with us maybe the last game, we have 2 more games in our stadium. You are more than invited. So please just contact me for that. And thank you again for your time and for being here with you, enjoying this day, this birthday of Presentation Analytics with us.
I think the key to us coming to see you really is that you need to have a little word with those schedulers, Alejandro. Perhaps tell them to arrange the matches a little bit earlier, please. It's a constant complaint. Like, could we please find out more than 2 weeks before when the games are happening? Because we want to make plans. We want to come and see Alejandro in Merida, but you can't. Right. You can't give us 2 weeks notice. That's just no use to us.
Yeah, it's 2 to 3 weeks. So yeah, that's a little bit tough. The only thing that we have for sure is the last 2 games are going to be played on Saturday, probably, and all the games are going to be played at 8 p.m. Spanish time. Because every year they are played all games at the same time on Saturdays at 8 p.m. more or less. So well, that's a reason for you to plan to come to Merida.
That's really helpful. Really helpful intel, Alejandro. We'll certainly look to act on that. Thank you so much again, and we'll catch you soon. Thank you to all of you for listening or watching, whatever you're doing, and catch us again soon. Hasta luego.